Imagine a world on the brink. A world where kings and emperors talk of glory. A world where war is seen as noble, as destiny. Now, imagine one voice. A woman's voice, speaking against the thunder. She was born an Austrian countess, but she died a revolutionary. Her weapon was not a sword, but a pen. Her battle cry was a single, powerful word. No. No to war. No to violence. No to the idea that might makes right. Her name was Bertha von Suttner, and she dared to dream of peace in a world addicted to war. This is the story of her resilience, a story that proves, when women rise, history changes. Bertha's story begins in 1843, in Prague. She was born into a noble family, but this was a gilded cage. Her family was wealthy, but the money faded. She was aristocratic, but she was a woman. In her world, women had one purpose: to marry well. She was expected to be decorative, to be quiet, to find a wealthy husband. But Bertha was smart. She was curious. She taught herself. She read about philosophy, science, and politics, subjects unfit for a lady. The economic reality was harsh. With no fortune, her prospects dimmed. At 30, she took a job. She became a governess for the von Suttner family. It was one of the few respectable jobs for a woman like her. And there, she fell in love with the family's younger son, Arthur von Suttner. It was a scandal. She was older. She was an employee. The family was furious. Marriage was impossible. So, what did Bertha do? Did she accept her fate? Did she bow to the rules? No. She and Arthur eloped. They ran away to the Caucasus, in modern-day Georgia. For 9 years, they lived in poverty. They worked as writers and language teachers. It was a hard life, but it was a life they built together, on their own terms. This was her first great act of resilience, defying her entire culture for love. It was a sign of the strength to come. In 1885, Bertha and Arthur returned to Austria. The family had forgiven them. They were back in high society. But Bertha was changed. She had seen struggle. She understood reality. Then, a single event lit the fuse. She saw a job advertisement. It was for a secretary and housekeeper for a wealthy inventor in Paris. She applied and got the job. That inventor was Alfred Nobel. She only worked for him for a week, but they formed a deep, lifelong friendship. They wrote letters for years. They discussed literature, science, and the future of the world. Around this time, she discovered the International Peace and Arbitration Association. The idea of organized peace. Work electrified her. It was her calling. She used the tools she had, her writing. In 1889, she published her masterpiece, Die Waffen nieder, Lay Down Your Arms. It was a novel, but it was not just a story. It was a manifesto. It told the story of a woman who lived through the horrors of war. It showed the pain, the loss, the sheer waste. It was graphic. It was emotional. It was a sensation. The establishment hated it. Critics called it unpatriotic. They said a woman could not understand these things. But the people loved it. It became an international bestseller. It was translated into dozens of languages. For the first time, millions of people felt the human cost of war. And she never forgot her friend, Alfred Nobel. She wrote to him. She urged him. She said, "You are a man of science and progress. Use your legacy to promote peace. Reward those who work for humanity." Many believe she was the direct inspiration for the Nobel Peace Prize. Now, Bertha was unstoppable. She became the leader of the European peace movement. She founded peace societies. She wrote countless articles. She gave speeches across the continent. A woman speaking to rooms full of powerful men about politics and war. It was unheard of. The obstacles were immense. The gender obstacle. What does a woman know of war? They sneered. The social obstacle. Peace is a naive dream. They laughed. The economic obstacle. She often funded her own work, fighting for financial backing. But her resilience was her superpower. Every no made her louder. Every insult made her sharper. She was deeply attached to her Austrian culture. She loved its art and music, but she fiercely criticized its militarism. She was a patriot for humanity, not just for an empire. Her greatest moment came in 1905. She received a telegram. It was the news every idealist dreams of. She had won the Nobel Peace Prize. She was the first woman to be awarded Nobel Peace Prize. It was a victory, not just for her, but for her entire movement, for her entire gender. She had forced the world to listen. So, what can Bertha von Suttner teach women today? First, your voice matters, even when you feel it is the only one saying no. Second, use your specific skills. Bertha didn't become a soldier or a politician. She became a writer. She used her talent to change minds. Third, build your alliances. Her friendship with Alfred Nobel changed history. Surround yourself with people who believe in your cause. And finally, be resilient. The path will not be easy. You will be told you are too emotional, too naive, too ambitious. Be like Bertha. Let that fuel your fire. She died in 1914. Just 1 week before the shot that started World War I, the war she had spent her life trying to prevent. She saw it coming. Her final words were a desperate plea for peace. It must have felt like a failure, but it was not, because she planted a seed. The idea that peace is not a fantasy, it is a necessity. She inspired a generation. She laid the groundwork for the League of Nations, and later, the United Nations. Her story is a monument to the power of an idea, and the power of one person to champion it. She was a woman born in a cage, but she taught the world to fly. She was a woman of resilience, and she proved, forever, that when women rise, history changes. Thank you for watching.